hopefully you can all hear me okay. Great. Great, good, thank you. So last week we looked at the water element and its association in yoga with the sacral chakra. So we looked, I've got a little diagram here, we looked at their chakras, and I don't know if you can see that, but the water element is associated with the sacral chakra, which is otherwise known as Svadhisthana chakra. And this literally means the home of sweetness and enjoyment of life. I thought that's really nice, the home of sweetness and enjoyment of life. So this area that we're working on with this flow is all about focusing on the pelvic girdle, the reproductive organs, so it's the ovaries, the uterus, the womb, the testes in men, seminal ducts, and it's associated with not just the water element, but our emotions and our feelings and our ability to drive creativity and intimacy. So the idea here is that when our chakra is open and balanced and fluid, we're able to connect with life, we're able to enjoy life and feel life for how it is supposed to feel. And occasionally when issues do arise and when tensions arise and emotions come into the body, the yogis believe that these are housed in sort of the hip area, and that's where we can store a lot of tension. And the idea here is that we should ride our emotions. We should let them flow through us and accept them for what they are. So we need to feel them, accept them, and by doing so, we're then able to move on. Now, the relaxation that we've got at the end of the class is inspired by the colour orange. And this is the colour that's associated with the sacral chakra, so our home of sweetness and enjoyment in life. So in today's practice, really enjoy the flow, practice the fluidity and grace that water brings, but also think about your enjoyment, being sensitive to emotions, and also balancing that strength that water brings. So it's not just about fluidity, but it's also incredibly powerful and strong. So we'll explore that in our standing postures. So we're going to get started in reclined butterfly posture. So lying down on our backs, bringing the soles of the feet together, knees out nice and wide. Oh my goodness, I've just realised I forgot to press play. If anyone is doing this to music, I will be pressing play. So I do apologise. I've just fast forwarded on to 2 minutes. So lying down on our backs, closing the eyes. Placing one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. Before we start our class, it's always important just to stop and check in. Check in with how the physical body is feeling today. Any areas of tightness, tension. And then check in with the emotional self, which aligns with our sacral chakra. How are we feeling this morning? Whatever you have going on, don't resist it. Just accept it. It's a part of being human and alive. Take a moment to relax the jaw. Allow the teeth to parten. Soften the eyes. And deep into the sockets of the eyes. Allow the tongue to soften. Allow that deepening into the throat area and the root of the tongue. Slowly start to deepen the breath, sending the breath deep into the belly. Feeling the belly rise and the belly fall. For those of you familiar with the Ujjayi breath, you might like to engage the Ujjayi breath now. So breathing deep in through the nose and out through the nose, maintaining a slight constriction in the back of the throat. That oceanic wave-like sound. Taking one more breath here. Then bringing the knees together and then bringing the knees in towards the chest. Just maybe rocking from side to side, giving your spine a little gentle massage here. Very nice. Then placing the left foot on the floor, taking hold of either the back of the right thigh or the outside edge of the right foot, coming into half happy baby pose here. You might like to find a little bit of dynamic, fluid-like movement here. So a little bounce back and forth. Taking one more breath here. Then placing the right ankle onto the left thigh. Interlacing the fingers, taking them behind the back of the left thigh or onto the left shin. Flexing both the feet now to protect the knees. Keep working that right knee out and away from the body. Taking two more breaths here. From here, releasing the hands, placing the forearms on the mat, either coming up onto the forearms now or coming onto our hands. So keeping that flex in the foot. Good. Very nice, very nice. Good, Rachel. Then just see if you can open across the collarbones now, drawing the shoulders down away from the body. This feels a little bit too much, just come down onto the forearms. Good. So either staying with this pose or lifting the bottom up, receiving the posture, engaging the glutes. Staying here for 3 deep breaths. One more breath. Good. Then releasing the bottom down on the mat, coming straight into Navasana, our boat pose. So engaging the core. If this feels a little bit too much, toe tap the feet onto the mat. Good. Very nice, Claire. Keep fanning all 10 toes. Gaze in between the big toes. From here, coming into low boat, then high boat, then low boat, then high boat, then low boat, and sweeping the arms up overhead, stretching through the fingers, stretching through the toes, taking a nice full body stretch here. That feels so good. Good. Bringing both knees into the chest now. Giving yourself a little spinal massage again. Placing the right foot on the floor, taking either the back of the left thigh or the outside edge of the left foot with your left hand, half happy baby pose. And if you'd like to, find a little bit of dynamic movement. So a little bit of bounce with the knee, with the foot. Good. Then placing the left ankle onto the right thigh, interlacing the fingers and taking them behind the back of the right thigh or onto the shin. Flexing both feet. So reclined pigeon posture. These early morning flows really help set the tone for the rest of the day. Helping us find a little bit of fluidity and flexibility and strength in our bodies and minds. Taking one more breath here. Then releasing the hands, placing the forearms either side of the body. Coming into a seated pigeon pose. So remember, the option here is to have your forearms down on the mat. Good. Very nice, Christine. Keep working those shoulder blades down. Good. Broadening across the collarbones. Good. Taking one more breath here. And if you're able to do so, lifting the bottom up, coming into our tabletop position, variation. So just keep the chin tucked in ever so slightly. So just imagine you're holding an orange under your chin here with these early morning postures. Just be a little bit gentle with the neck. One more breath. Good. Then releasing the bottom down onto the mat, releasing that foot down, coming into a cross-legged position. And we're just going to let our bodies melt down onto the mat. So sinking our bodies down forwards, feeling that movement of the hips, and just allowing everything to soften. Two more breaths here. Very nice. Then coming into our tabletop position. So rolling forward onto our knees, taking the knees behind us. So the knees are stacked over the hips. And we're just going to take some little wrist stretches here. So first of all, just taking the wrists either the edges of the mat. This is option one. Anyone wants to take this further, bringing the fingers so they point towards your knees. Good. Very nice. Now, if you can, so there's a couple of you who are flexing your toes. If you can, just pop both toes flat on the mat. That's it, very nice. And then if you can, just shift the bottom towards the heels. Just be gentle and kind here because it's quite an intense stretch on the wrists. And you might just like to bob a little bit forwards and backwards. Good. One more breath. And then taking the wrists forwards now into our usual tabletop position, we're going to come into some circular cat-cow positions. So shifting the bottom now towards the right heel, then taking the bottom towards the left heel, then over towards the left hand, then the right hand. And we'll continue this circle-like, wave-like movement with our hips, feeling free to bend at the elbows if you need to. So just finding some enjoyment and pleasure in the posture, just letting you sort of flow as your body wants you to flow. Maybe working into the shoulders here. Good, and then we'll just change direction now. Good. And coming back into our tabletop position. Tucking under the toes, so we're just hovering the knees off the ground now, engaging the core. And then if you can, really try and keep the knees that about 1 inch off the mat. Come into cupcake fingers on your right hand, keeping the knees exactly where they are. Good. If you want to add a little bit more, come onto one finger with your right hand. Good, then lower the palm down on the mat. We'll try that on the opposite side. So cupcake hands with the left hand. Keep the knees 1 inch off the ground. Then come onto one finger with your left hand. Good, keep engaging that core. Keep those knees 1 inch off the ground. Place the palm down on the mat, lifting the bottom up and away towards the heels, coming into our first downward facing dog. So really think about spinal extension here. So put a little bend if you need to. Don't worry if your heels don't touch the mat. From here, we're going to wave forward into high plank. Good. Then bend the knees, shoot the bottom up, coming into downward facing dog. Wave forward, high plank. Bend the knees, shoot the bottom up, downward facing dog. One more time, wave forward, high plank. Bend the knees, shoot the bottom up, down dog. Bend the knees, lower down into a child's pose. So really think about a narrow leg child's pose with this striking cobra sequence. So remembering the forearms glued down onto the mat. Chest strikes through, coming into low cobra. Press into both palms. Think cat pose as you round through the spine and then come back into child's pose. Good. We'll try that again. So strike through. So the chest strikes through the elbows. Coming into low cobra. Press into both palms. Think cat pose. And then come back into child's pose. One more time. Strike the chest through. Low cobra. Elbows draw down away from the body. Press into both palms. Think cat pose. And come back into child's pose. Just taking 2 deep breaths here. Good. From here, lifting the bottom up now, tucking under the toes, coming into our downward facing dog. Good. From here, coming onto our tiptoes and slowly walking, tiptoeing, slow motion to the top of the mat, keeping the feet behind the wrists. Good. And then release the heels. Put a bend in your knees and just grab hold of opposite elbows. Take a little sway side to side. And then putting a little bend in your knees, slowly rolling up to Tadasana, our mountain pose. Good. Very nice, everybody. We'll just take a couple of sun salutations. So Lift and spread with the toes. Big toes touching. Take a big roll back of the shoulders. Lifting from the crown of the head, nice and tall. So inhale, circling the arms overhead. Exhaling, swan dive down, hinging at the hips, putting a little bend in your knees. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, planting the hands, stepping the right foot back, knee down, toes uncurl. Inhaling, sweeping the arms overhead, really reaching up with those fingers. Good. Exhale, hands frame the foot, tucking onto the ball of the back foot, stepping back into plank position, one straight line. Good, drawing that navel in and up. Good, just make sure you're not sinking the hips here. So we're nice and lifted. Good, exhale, lowering down, knees, chest, chin, elbows into the sides of the body. Inhaling, low cobra, drawing the shoulder blades down. Exhaling, tucking under those toes, downward facing dog. Taking 5 breaths here in our downward facing dog. So remembering this is an active posture, we're pressing the palms down into the mat. Good. Very nice, Christine. We lengthen the spine. Taking one more breath here. Inhaling, gaze forward. Exhaling, stepping the right foot forward, knee down, toes uncurl. Give yourself a little hand if you need to. Inhale, sweeping the arms overhead, really reaching up with those fingers. Exhale, hands frame the foot, tucking under that back toe, stepping your feet together, flat back. Exhaling, fold. Inhale, press through the feet as you circle the arms overhead and rise. Exhale, hands touch down through heart center. Let's try that on the opposite side. Inhale, sweeping the arms overhead. Exhaling, swan dive down, hinging at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to thighs or shins. Exhale, planting the hands on the mat, stepping the left foot back, knee down, toes uncurl. Inhale, sweeping the arms overhead. Good, really reaching up with those fingers. Exhale, hands frame the foot, tucking under that back toe, stepping your feet back into plank position, one straight line. Navel draws in and up. Good. Very nice, Lucy. Exhale, lowering down, knees, chest, chin, elbows into the sides of the body. Exhale, low cobra. Shoulders draw away from the body. Exhale, tucking under those toes, downward facing dog. We're just going to take 5 breaths in our downward facing dog. If this feels a little bit too much today, know that child's pose is always your option that you can come back to. So just be careful with this posture. Make sure that you're particularly pressing into the base of the thumb, base of the index finger, as well as all 10 fingertips. And one more breath. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, stepping the left foot forward, knee down, toes uncurl. Inhale, sweeping the arms overhead. Exhale, hands frame the foot, tucking under that back toe, feet together, flat back, one straight line. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press through the feet as you circle the arms overhead and rise. Exhale, Samastiti at equal standing pose. Right, let's find a little bit of strength now in our postures. So inhale, circle the arms overhead. Exhaling, swan dive down. Stepping back into our downward facing dog pose. Inhale, left leg, so the back leg lifts up towards the sky. The leg furthest away from me. Bending the knee and just taking some knee circles here. Keep pressing evenly into both hands. And then maybe changing directions with your knee. Maybe seeing if you can make that circle a little bit bigger. Good. 3-legged dog. Weight shifts forward, stepping forward into a low lunge. Knee comes down. Very good. From here, right arm comes underneath the left. We're coming into an eagle bind. taking a little baby back bend. So either doing a single or a double wrap. Good, that's it, and very nice. Good. From here, raising the arms up and overhead, hooking the thumbs, fanning all 10 fingers. If you're able to do so, coming onto the ball of the back foot, coming into a high lunge, Astra Chandasana pose. Just sinking down into that front knee. Good. And just see if you can just find a little bit of space in your shoulders so they're not hunched up high, creating a little bit of space so they're drawing away from the body. Oh, one more breath. Whew. Then arrow ahead the arms so they're coming out to the sides of the body like wings. Keep pressing into all four corners of the front foot. Good. From here, coming into warrior two. So rainbow that front arm. So your legs are about a leg length distance apart. Take the gaze over your middle finger. Warrior two. Can you sink a little bit further? Keep grounding through the outside edge of your back foot. Good. Good. Very nice, Lucy. Taking one more breath here. Good. Then we're just going to take some dynamic movements. So straightening the front leg and straightening the arms up overhead and then coming down into warrior two. So we're straightening the front leg and then coming down into warrior two. One more time, straightening the front leg, warrior two. Then straightening the front leg, grabbing hold of the front wrist and taking a little back bend over to the back leg. This is our sky archer pose. So we're aiming to create space in these front ribs here of the body. One more breath. Releasing the hands, coming into our warrior two pose. From here, taking a side angle. So front forearm comes onto the thigh. Good. Very nice, Rachel. So keep trying to rotate that heart up towards the sky. Staying here for 5 deep breaths. Good. From here, we're going to take Skandasana, our surfer's pose. So shifting the weight now onto the back leg, bending at the knee. Good. So don't worry about how far down you go. You may be a little bit up here, and that's perfectly fine. Good. Then shifting the weight onto the opposite leg now. Good. So we're aiming for this foot to actually stay grounded, but it's quite challenging to do that. So don't worry if you're on your ball or off your foot. Shifting the weight now onto the back foot. Good. Spinning now. So we're coming into a lunge, the opposite side. And that front foot shoots up and back into three-legged dog. Good. So it's the opposite leg now. Good. And bending that knee and taking some knee circles. Keep pressing evenly into both hands. And then maybe changing directions. Back to three-legged dog. Weight shifts forwards, coming into a low lunge. Knee comes down, toes uncurl. Eagle arm, left arm wraps under the right. Taking a baby back bend here. Good. So keep softening down into those hips. So we're working the hip flexor muscles here. Good. Good. One more breath. Raising the arms up overhead, hooking the thumbs, spanning all 10 fingers, coming onto the ball of the back foot. High lunge, Astra Chandasana pose. A few breaths in the posture. From here, arrowhead the arms. So the crown of the head reaches forwards. Keep pushing into the ball of the back foot. One more breath. Good. Then rainbow the arms, coming into warrior two posture. Moment just to check your alignment. Make sure your knee is over your ankle. Take the gaze over your middle finger. So here we're finding strength in our muscles. Can you sink a little bit further? We're like an archer looking down a bow and arrow. One more breath. From here, straighten the front leg. Take the arms up overhead, reaching up, and then bend into that front knee. We'll do that a couple more times. Straighten the front knee and bend into warrior two. Straighten the front knee, take sky archer pose. So we're grabbing hold of the front wrist, opening up the side ribs here of the body. One more breath. Good. Coming into our warrior two pose and transitioning straight into side angle. So forearm comes to thigh. Good. So keep working that heart up towards the ceiling. Good. Nice. One more breath. And power into that front leg, coming straight up into our goddess pose. So feet point towards the outside edges of the mat. Hands come to heart center, sinking the bottom down. Nice. Good. So really try and find a nice length in the spine and just make sure the bottom is not sticking out. Can you sink a little bit further? One more breath. Whew. And then press into the feet. Whew. Slowly rolling up. Bringing the feet together now. Coming into our tree posture. So shifting the weight now onto the left leg, taking hold of the right foot. So either kickstanding, foot comes onto the shin or the thigh, hands come to heart center. A moment just to find our stillness. And then if this feels okay, we're going to take some circular wave-like movements. So raising the arms up overhead, reaching them out to the sides. Good. And back through center. Out to the sides. Hands come down to center. From here, we're going to take either the bottom of the thigh, so underneath the thigh, or we're going to grab hold of the big toe with the two-piece fingers. You might like to hold your left hand on your hip. One more breath. Good. And then touching down. Whew. We'll try that on the opposite side now. So shifting the weight onto the right foot, taking the left foot, and just whatever tree option feels right for you. Hands come to heart center. So either staying here, if you want to take some circular motions, ooh. Hands come up through center, out to the sides, and then up to center, and then out through the sides, and then up to heart center. Place the right hand on the hip. The left hand either takes underneath the thigh or grabs hold of the big toe. Take the leg out to the side. Very nice, Anne. Good. Couple more breaths here. Don't worry if you wobble, it's perfectly normal. One more breath. Good. Touching down. Good. Taking the feet out nice and wide now. Bringing the big toes in ever so slightly. Good. Hands come onto the hips. Inhale, lengthen. Exhaling, fold. Good. So releasing the hands to the ankles now. So the elbows come onto the outside edges of the body. Keep drawing the head down towards the mat. Just allowing everything to soften. Good. Prasarita Padottanasana C posture. Few more breaths. Good. Then placing the right hand on underneath the face, raising the left arm up towards the sky now, and taking the gaze up to the thumb if you're able to do so. Staying here for 5 deep breaths. Keep working the twist. Good. So put a little bend in your knees if you need to. One more breath. Good. Then placing the left hand on the floor now, bringing the right arm up towards the ceiling. Take the gaze up towards the thumb. Good, releasing that top hand to the mat, coming back into our goddess pose now. So the heels come in towards the center line, toes come out towards the outside edges of the mat, hands come to heart center, sinking the bottom down. From here, we're going to come onto our tiptoes now. Good, keep sinking the bottom down. A little bit further. A little bit further. Happy yoga smiles here. Whew. One more breath. And then slowly rolling up. Very nice, everybody. From here, we're coming to the top of our mat now. So the right foot comes across onto the left thigh. So we're coming into standing pigeon. So if this feels a little bit too much, just come into tree posture. And put a little bend in the left knee. Hands come to heart center. Ooh. And you sink a little bit further. A little bit further. Good. And if you're able to do so, taking the twist across the body now, keeping the hands in prayer position. One more breath. Single leg knee lift. Arms come up and overhead, really reaching up with those fingers. Drawing that navel in and up. From here, coming into a crescent lunge. So front leg takes a giant step backwards. Arms come up and overhead. Keep sinking into that front knee. Good. So inner thighs are spiraling inwards. Keep working up through that center line. Two more breaths here. Good. So straightening that front leg, we're coming into modified pyramid pose. So floating the arms out to the sides, think airplane arms, and leading with the chin. Don't worry if you wobble a little bit. Then taking the arms behind you and interlacing all fingers. Good. From here, coming into warrior three. So putting a little bend in that front leg, lifting the back leg off, flexing at the heel, leading from the crown of the head. Two more breaths. Very nice, feet to come together. Mountain posture. Whew. Very nice, everybody. We'll try that on the opposite side now. So shifting the weight onto the front leg, taking the opposite foot now. So we're coming into standing pigeon pose. So either staying here, hands come to heart center, and then if you're able to do so, sinking the bottom down. So keep sinking down. Good. Nice, Rachel. Good. Then if you're able to do so, taking the twist over to the sole of your foot now. So across the body. Keep pressing into both arms. One more breath. Single leg knee lift. Arms come up and overhead. Drawing that knee up as high as you possibly can. Good. From here, taking a giant step backwards, coming into modified crescent lunge, arms up and overhead. Good. So keep powering into the ball of your back foot now. Think inner thighs spiraling inwards, drawing up through the center line and up out through your fingertips. Taking two more breaths here. Good. And straightening that front leg, taking the arms out to the sides. Think airplane arms. Crown of the head reaches forwards. Two more breaths. Good, very nice. Then interlacing the fingers behind you now, pushing the clasped hands away from the body. And if you're able to do so, coming into warrior three posture. So shifting the weight now onto that front foot, reaching forward with the crown of the head. And then stepping your feet together. Very nice, everybody. Inhaling, circling the arms overhead. Exhaling, swan dive down, hinging at the hips. Good, very nice, everybody. Stepping back into downward facing dog. And then lowering the knees down on the mat, coming into a seated posture. Hands come onto the lap. Closing the eyes. Just a moment just to connect with our breath. Has it got a little bit choppy and frantic? Or is it calm and even? Seeing if you can deepen that breath and just slow down the inhalations and the exhalations. Very nice. From here, we're going to take a frog pose. So to get into frog pose, you might like to bring the outside edges of the mat inwards. This is quite an intensive posture. So if it doesn't feel right with your body, the alternative is to take a really nice child's pose, either arms ahead or by your feet. So to come into frog pose, take the knees out as is comfortable for you. So nice and wide. And if you align your knees with your hips, okay, so they're in a straight line. Try and show you from the sides. So they're in a straight line. And then you flex both feet And just allow yourself to melt down towards the earth. Okay. Now, if this feels too much, know that child's pose is your option. Now, to turn up the sensation, press the knees into the mat and just ever so slightly shift the bottom towards the heels. So it's more of an energetic push rather than a physical push. So keep working the posture. As we move into some of these floor postures, we tend to hold them for a little bit longer as they're working some really big muscle groups. Just trying to allow everything to soften. Taking one more breath here. And then to come out of the posture, bringing the big toes together, shifting the weight forwards, and then using the hands to bring you back up to a comfortable seated position. Okay, well done everybody. It's quite a strong posture, that one. It's very, very good for opening up the hips. We're going to come into pigeon pose, and my favorite way to come into it is from downward facing dog. So come into our tabletop, tuck the toes under, lift the bottom up and away. So right leg lifts up towards the ceiling, so think three-legged dog, and then take the right knee to the right elbow and the right ankle to the left wrist. Good. So it's our seated pigeon. Now, if this feels a little bit weird in your body, bend the back knee so you're coming into more of a 90-90 posture. Okay? Yeah? So standing nice and tall with the chest, think proud pigeon. Keep working those shoulder blades down. Make sure they're not hunched up. Nice. And then if you're able to do so, maybe walking the fingertips forward and allowing your body to soften down towards the mat. Often in yoga, it's the poses that you want to avoid that are the most beneficial to the body. A lot of people really struggle with these postures. Good. Very nice. Taking 2 more breaths here. And using the fingertips to bring you back up. We're coming into half Lord of the fish pose. So spinning the back leg, so the leg that's extended all the way round and across the body. If this feels too much, take it in front of the knee. Okay, and then we're twisting over away from the body. So keep gazing towards the back shoulder. So remember, with every inhalation, lift and lengthen. And then at every exhalation, see if you can twist a little bit further. One more breath. Then coming back to center, the leg that you just crossed over comes up towards the sky. Okay, so we can either grab hold of the thigh, calf, or maybe the back of the foot, the sole of the foot. That's it. So we can hold here. Good. Then bending that front leg, shifting our weight forwards, coming into standing splits. So think nice grace and eloquency with the posture. Now with standing splits, the wider you have your hands, the more you'll be able to move your nose towards your knee. Two more breaths. Good. Touch down with that floating leg. Step back into downward facing dog. Lifting the back foot up now, coming into three-legged dog on the opposite side. And taking the left knee to the left elbow, coming into pigeon pose, opposite side. Good. So remembering that you can always just take a little 90-90 with this back foot. Sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And then maybe just walking forwards with the fingertips, allowing the body to melt down towards the mat. So in yoga, we often talk about playing at our edge. So with this posture, really think about where you can soften, where you can let go, where you can move a little bit further in the posture without it causing any sharp sensation or pain in the body. Working out where that edge of the pose is. Taking two more breaths here. And pressing into both palms to bring you back up. Swinging the left leg round across the body. So the front leg goes all the way around the body. And we're taking a twist over the opposite shoulder now. So keep drawing that navel in and up, which is that Uddiyana Bandha. And as you firm the abdomen in and up, you may find a little bit more rotation. Two more breaths. And then coming back to center, coming into our heron posture. So either taking the back of the thigh, the back of the shin, or the bottom of the foot, the sole of the foot, lifting up nice and tall. Good. Keep pressing the heel away from you. One more breath. Then bending into that, extending the, shifting the weight forward, coming into standing splits now. Back leg lifts up. Taking one more breath here. And stepping the foot back, coming into downward facing dog. Knees come onto the mat. Very nice, everybody. Well done. That's quite an intensive pose. From here, we're going to take the legs out nice and wide as is comfortable for you. And with our forward folds, the most important thing is really thinking about bending from the hips. We're flexing the hips here. We're moving from the hips rather than rounding the lower back. So flexing both feet, and just make sure that that all the sort of fleshy bit of your bottom is out the way. So will really help you find a little bit more length in the spine. So growing tall through the spine. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And then exhale, slowly walking the fingertips forwards until you find a really interesting sensation. So don't worry too much about how far down you go. Good. You can make both hands into fists and stack them. You might like to let your forehead melt towards that, if you've got the flexibility. Taking 2 more breaths here. And then using the fingertips to push you back up, coming down onto our backs now. So slowly rolling down onto the mat. So from here, we're just going to take a little bridge posture. So the feet are as wide as the hips. And press into both feet as you lift the bottom up. Keep the chin tucked in. If you want to go a little bit further, you can come onto your shoulders here. Taking a few deep breaths here. Keep pressing into all 4 corners of the feet. And then very slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, releasing the spine down onto the mat. Good. Bringing both knees into the chest now. And allowing the knees to travel over to the right side. Arms come out to a letter T. Take the gaze over the left shoulder. One more breath. And then coming back to center and allowing the knees to travel over to the left side. Take the gaze over the right shoulder. One more breath. And bringing the knees into the center. So you might like to grab an extra layer, a pair of socks, a blanket as we come into relaxation. So rolling down on the floor. Just finding a place that is comfortable for you. Closing the eyes. Be aware of the breath. Allow it to slow down. Feeling yourself sinking into the mat. Feeling the body spreading, the shoulders widening, the buttocks spreading. Allowing the earth to support the body. Be aware of a rainbow of light, an arc of colour, and imagine a beam of orange light going straight and deep into the lower abdomen. Think of an African marigold with a huge round orange ball of light. See how all the petals are formed exactly in proportion. How perfect the flower has been formed. Be aware of the heady scent of the flower. Feel yourself soften with the scent. Rest here. We'll now release the practice of Shavasana. Breathe in the color orange. Take in the life force, the strong, vibrant color, the joy. Think of the flower, the brilliance, so full of sunshine, so full of upliftment. Allow this healing light and energy to sweep through your body, filling you with positive thoughts, with clarity of thoughts, with a willingness to let go and move forward. When you feel ready, release the color orange. Release and allow the breath to breathe the body. On your next inhalation, take your arms over the head, taking a nice long stretch. Stretching down the left side, stretching down the right side, stretching down both sides. When you are ready, slowly roll over to your right side for fetal pose. This is your right to feel. Feel your body connect with the mat, the earth, the universe. Keeping your eyes closed, press yourself up to a comfortable seated position. Gently rub your palms together to create some heat, placing them over the eyes, allowing the light to trickle through as you release the hands. Inhale, circling the arms overhead, really reaching up with those fingers, uniting the palms, hands down through heart center. 2 more times. Inhale, circling the arms overhead, really reaching up. Exhale, hands down through heart center. 1 more time. Inhale, circle the arms overhead, really reaching up with those fingers. Exhale, hands down through heart center. The light in me honors and respects the light that shines in you. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you, everybody, for coming to Feel Good Yoga Flow this morning. Oh.